weed out there.
I'm standing here in Coyote Valley, not too far away from Coyote Creek, in this huge field of yellow star-thistle, which unfortunately is a very bad weed. So this is a non-native plant that is very widespread in the area. You can see that it can take over an area. They use a lot of water and not too many animals can actually feed on them. It's not a native plant, so none of our native species is adapted to eating it. But however, some species actually use its nectar or the seeds. So some birds like eating the seeds. Many insects like to feed on the nectar. It flowers in the middle of the summer when there are not too many other nectar plants available. So you'd often see different bees. We saw a bumblebee, we saw honeybees, which are also not native. And the other thing I saw here was a weevil. So a few species of weevils, little beetles, were released in California in order to biologically control yellow star-thistle. As you can see, they work too slow. So they are doing their best. They are feeding on the flower head, so the little eggs and little larvae will develop in the flower head, but we probably need a few million more beetles to actually make a difference. But still, it's cool to see that they're around trying to do their part. So I found a praying mantis lady, which is very nice. Fine. It's a female non-native praying mantis because we are here in the middle of the non-native everything. Get a closer look. Oh, here she is. So this is an adult female praying mantis. And you can see it's an adult because it has wings. So all winged insects are adults, which means that they're not going to molt again. Insects, in order to grow, they have to molt multiple times. But once they have their wings on, some insects won't have wings, but once they become adults, they don't molt again. This one is probably a female because it's kind of fat, has this wide abdomen. The male is narrower than this, I'm pretty sure. We'll have to check that later, so I'm going to document it, and hopefully someone will help us with ID and everything else. The thing that I noticed pretty quickly is that she has this really cool spot on her forelegs. So you can see that her forelegs are very well adapted to catching prey. Okay, she has these amazing spines there and everything else, and once she sees something moving, she could use her legs to catch it and probably also kill it, and then she would start eating it. And between these two legs there's a really nice large spot which will help us identify it. Gorgeous. She has large eyes. She sees very, very well. And again, she will notice any little movement. So this beautiful tall grass here is called herring grass. This is another nasty weed that is widespread in different places in the Bay Area. It's very difficult to remove. You have to kind of dig and cut the roots and everything. But you know, here it is. And there's actually not that much of it here. We haven't seen much. So if you have a targeted weeding program, you could get rid of something like that. So another way that people try and control this plant is by hand picking, weeding this plant, which I've done for a few years, and it's very difficult. It's very difficult work. You can see now it's very spiky. It's painful even through leather gloves. But earlier in the season, it's much easier and very satisfying to pull them out of the ground. But they are very difficult to remove. They have the seed bank lasts for many years. So even after you remove them for about 10 years, you might still get new seedlings every year. But some people are amazing and they still do it. And within quite a few years, you can actually clean a preserve like Edgewood, like Restradero Preserve, different places where they try and have these awesome programs. But it's through lots of sweat and hard work of many, many, many volunteers. But I highly recommend joining one of these projects, like the Grassroots Ecology Project, because I think it's the best way to learn about invasive species and how difficult it is to deal with them. Okay. Know Your Weed program, take 3. So this is another weed, pretty common in the Bay Area. It's called milk thistle. Now it's dry. It has its seed heads here. And if you pull them, you might find this pretty cool seed. So this is a non-native plant, pretty widespread, very difficult to remove, and one of many.
Right, you're wrong.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to say that I was wrong about the herring grass, because when we were standing there, we saw only one plant. But I guess that's where all his friends are. Because look at that, there's herring grass all around, and that's what you usually see for, you know, all these weeds. You don't just have one, you have a whole bunch of them. Same with the yellow star-thistle, same with the milk thistle. With most of what you see here, all the little plants here are invasive. There's some good native trees and such, but all the little ones are invasive.